Yep, standing rule. 11 labs first. Compact paragraphs, minimal breaks, intentional pauses only. I've got. Day 13 of 30. Be it. You spent 12 days finding yourself. Enough searching. Now become the evidence. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 13. For 12 days, we went inward. We found out who we are, who actually stands beside us, which bridges are steel and which are glass. We sat with the things we spent years avoiding. We stopped calling ourselves mistakes. We learned to breathe. We confronted the shadow. We walked through fire. We rested. We found our beach. We learned that when the whole world blindly goes left, sometimes the answer is to go right. We got the suppressed feelings out. We told the story. We listened. We learned the tools. We did the work. Now, stop fucking feeling sorry for yourself. There comes a point when healing requires compassion, and there comes a point when compassion requires a command. Stand up. The man in the arena. You know the image. The person actually in the arena, face covered in dust and sweat, taking the hits, missing, failing, getting back up, and somewhere above him sits the crowd, critiquing, commenting, explaining what he should have done. Except today we're changing one thing. The crowd doesn't exist, not anymore. Because day 12 taught you that consensus is not your compass. So why are you still looking into the stands? Stop. Nobody in those seats is climbing your mountain. Nobody there has to live with your decisions. Nobody there wakes up inside your mind tomorrow morning. This is your arena. Stand up, dust yourself off, and fucking build. Good. You got fired? Good. She left? Good. They abandoned you? Great. Not because those things don't hurt. They do. Not because every loss was secretly wonderful. It wasn't. Because it happened. It is already part of the ledger. Reality doesn't issue refunds. So the only remaining question is, what are you going to build with it? You can spend the next decade explaining why the loss destroyed you, or you can realize the loss removed the thing you were using as permission not to become yourself. The job is gone. The relationship is gone. The approval is gone. The crowd is gone. Guess who's still standing? You? And now you have reached a place where the only validation required to begin is your own. Clarity changes everything. You made it this far. Your head is clearer now. And clarity creates a kind of will that motivation never can. Motivation says, I feel like doing this. Clarity says, this is what I do. You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. You know what you will accept. You know what you won't. You know which relationships strengthen you and which consume you. You know what your body needs. You know where your beach is. You know what the shadow sounds like. You know what fear sounds like. You know what peace feels like. You know how to breathe. Now stop negotiating with information you already possess. Control one thing. You don't control her. You don't control him. You don't control your children, your boss, the market, the judge, the crowd, yesterday, tomorrow. You control your participation in the next moment. That's enough. The next breath, the next decision, the next step, then another.
You don't need to control the mountain.
You need to control the foot moving up it. That is how mountains are climbed. Light the story on fire. You've told your story. Good. You needed to. Stories organize pain. They help us understand what happened. They let other people understand us. They turn chaos into something the mind can hold. But eventually the story can become another prison. I'm the person who had this happen. That's why I am like this. That's why I can't trust. That's why I can't love. That's why I can't succeed. That's why I can't change. Careful. At some point, constantly explaining what happened to you starts turning what happened to you into who you are. Fuck that. You are not the event. You are not the diagnosis. You are not the divorce. You are not the firing. You are not the betrayal. You are not the jail cell. You are not the rejection. You are not the worst thing someone said about you. You are not even the worst thing you said about yourself. The story served its purpose. Take the lessons, keep the wisdom, keep the accountability, keep the scars, then light the rest on fire. Pressure. How is steel made? Heat. Pressure. How are diamonds formed? Pressure. We love those metaphors because they sound beautiful after the process is finished. Nobody wants the pressure while they're underneath it. But you were underneath it, and you're still here. The pressure did not automatically make you better. Suffering alone does not make anyone wise. What you did with the suffering did. You examined it. You owned your part. You sat with it. You stopped running. You found the shadow. You learned where you were wrong. You learned where others were wrong. You learned what mattered. You learned what didn't. That is how pressure becomes transformation, instead of simply damage. You didn't just survive the fire. You studied it. And if you walked through the fire and you're reading this version of you knows fire. What exactly are you afraid of now? Think about the worst season of your life. The moment you thought, I cannot do this. Then you did another day, another night, another morning, another breath, another step, until one day you looked around and realized the thing you thought would destroy you had already happened, and you were still standing. So ask yourself, what exactly are you afraid of now? Failure? You've failed before. Loss? You've lost before. Rejection? You've survived it. Starting over? You've already started over. Being alone? You've met yourself there. Pain? You know pain. The unknown? That's where every future you've ever had came from. Fear still exists. Courage isn't its absence. Courage is knowing fear doesn't get command authority. You are not what happened to you. For 12 days, we've been looking backward just enough to understand forward. Now turn around. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to build after it. Call it whatever you want. Survivor, builder, father, mother, leader, founder, warrior, Christian, human being. The name doesn't matter. The transformation does. You entered the furnace as one person. You came out carrying something the old version didn't possess. Proof. Proof that you can survive things you once feared. Proof that you can change. Proof that you can sit alone. Proof that you can admit you were wrong without disappearing. Proof that you can lose something you loved and continue loving. Proof that the shadow can be observed without being obeyed. Proof that you can breathe inside the storm. That isn't mythology. That's evidence. The cracks are gold. The Japanese art of kintsugi repairs broken pottery with precious metal. The fracture isn't hidden. It's illuminated. Gold runs directly through the place where the object broke. The philosophy isn't. It was never broken. It was. The philosophy is, the break is now part of the beauty. That's you. Day 8 told us to remove the mask. Today, we don't put the old one back on. We build something different. Not a mask designed to hide the cracks, one laced with gold. The fracture visible. The lesson integrated. The shadow known. The light coming through the exact places where the structure once failed. You don't need to pretend nothing happened. You need to stop being ashamed that something did. The cave is behind you. Remember Plato's cave. For years you watched shadows and called them reality. Then you turned around. You saw the fire. You walked toward the opening. The light hurt. You kept moving. Now look where you are. The cave is behind you. You can still see it, but only if you turn around. That's the danger. Not that the cave will chase you, that you'll miss its familiarity. Old pain is familiar. Old habits are familiar. Old relationships are familiar. Old excuses are familiar. The chains were uncomfortable, but at least you knew exactly where they were. Freedom is uncertain. That's why people run back. Don't. You worked too hard. You suffered too long. You learned too much. The mountain is in front of you now. Keep climbing. Be it. This is where the series changes. The first 12 days asked, "Who am I?" Day 13 asks, "Now what are you going to do about it?" You want to be a founder? Build. You want to be a writer? Write. You want to be a better father? Father. You want to be strong? Train. You want to be peaceful? Practice peace. You want to be faithful? Pray. You want to be trustworthy? Tell the truth when lying would be easier. You want to be disciplined? Do the thing when nobody is watching. You want to be loving? Love without demanding ownership. Stop saying what you are going to become. Be it. Identity without behavior is imagination. Conviction without action is philosophy. Faith without works is dead. At some point, the idea has to enter the physical world. Through you. This is when the impossible starts. Something happens when clarity, preparation, discipline, and action finally align. Things start moving. Not magically. Not because the universe suddenly owes you. Because you stop wasting energy fighting yourself. The impossible happens. Then again, and again, and again, the application goes out. The meeting happens. The business starts. The body changes. The relationship strengthens. The opportunity appears. The thing you've talked about for 5 years suddenly exists because you finally built version 1 on a Tuesday afternoon.
People call it momentum.
Markets call it compounding. Faith calls some of it grace. Whatever language you choose, the principle is the same. Movement creates possibilities that rumination never will. You cannot think your way up the mountain. Eventually, your feet have to move. The bounty was waiting for the real you. Maybe the blessing wasn't being withheld. Maybe you weren't ready to carry it yet. Maybe the opportunity required a version of you who didn't exist before. Not because 12 days magically rebuilt a human life. Because somewhere during those 12 days, you finally stopped waiting for someone else to introduce you to yourself. And there you are. Not perfect, not finished, not invincible. Real, integrated, aware, responsible, faithful, moving. The bounty of heaven was never payment for suffering. Grace doesn't work like wages. But maybe you can finally receive good things without sabotaging them. Maybe you can recognize love without trying to control it. Maybe you can recognize opportunity without believing you're unworthy of it. Maybe you can stand in the light without immediately running back toward the cave. That's different. Day 13. The message. Enough. Enough explaining why you hurt. Enough apologizing for surviving. Enough waiting for permission. Enough telling everyone what you're going to do. Enough staring at the mountain. You know yourself now. You know your circle. You know your shadow. You know your beach. You know how to rest. You know how to sit with pain. You know how to breathe. You know when the crowd goes left. Sometimes you have to go right. You know the tools. Now use them. Stand up like dust off. Build. Nobody is climbing your mountain for you. Nobody can believe in you enough to replace your own belief. Nobody can take your next breath. Nobody can take your next step. And nobody gets to decide that what happened to you is what you remain. That decision belongs to you. 30 days for the rest of your life. Day 1, gratitude. Notice what remains. Day 2, just like you. You are not uniquely broken. Day 3, dogs. Notice who needs you. Day 4, who's there when the music stops. Notice who stands in the rain. Day 5, mistake. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're okay. Day 6, sit with it. Stop running from what you already know. Day 7, just breathe. Get to the next breath. Day 8, superposition. Observe the whole person, then choose who drives. Day 9, the called walk through fire. Stay on the path. Day 10, rest is best. Learn when not to move. Day 11, the beach. Remember where you feel like you. Day 12, go right. Stop outsourcing your direction to the crowd. Day 13, be it. Stop describing the person you're becoming. Become them. The crowd doesn't exist. The cave is behind you. The shadow is known. The story has been told. The fire already came. And you're still here. So what exactly are you waiting for? Head up, shoulders square, one breath, one step, build, then build again tomorrow, and the day after that. Until one day people look at the life you've created and call it impossible. You'll know better. It wasn't impossible. It was thousands of ordinary decisions made by someone who finally stopped negotiating against themselves. You are not what happened to you. You are not what they called you. You are not the person sitting in the ashes explaining how the building burned down. You are the person holding the hammer. Build. The cracks are gold now. The fire cannot teach you the same lesson twice. The cave has nothing left for you. The mountain is ahead, and the real you finally arrived. For 12 days, ideas were bulletproof. Today, the idea stands up. Today, the idea walks. Today, the idea builds. Today, you become the proof. No longer is it just the idea. You, my friend, are bulletproof. ICT. The real war is within. Ideas are bulletproof.